Namaste students. In the previous session we have discussed about pollination and kinds of pollination and pollination that is mediated either by biotic agents or by abiotic agents. In addition to that, we have also discussed about the type of mechanism that takes place after pollination, that is pollen pistil interaction. In pollen pistil interaction, we have discussed that the pollen grains can be checked by the stigma, that is the compatibility of the pollen grain can be checked by the stigma, and stigma allows the pollen grain to germinate, and after pollen germination the pollen tube that is formed releases two male gametes into the female gametophyte, that is embryo sac. Okay. So we have discussed in detail how pollination takes place by either biotic or abiotic agents. So this kind of pollination is generally a natural process that is mediated either by biotic or abiotic agents. But there is one more approach where pollination can also be done purposefully. Okay. So such a process or such an approach where pollination can be done purposefully is one of the major approach for improvement of crops, and this phenomenon or mechanism is known as artificial hybridization. Okay, artificial hybridization. So now let us look into artificial hybridization and let us see what are the steps involved in this procedure. Artificial hybridization is one of the major approach for crop improvement in plants. So in artificial hybridization, a purposeful pollination is done. Okay. In artificial hybridization is the crossing experiment in plants where pollen grains are collected and then they are dusted on the stigma of a flower to achieve pollination. Okay. So such a process is known as artificial hybridization. So artificial hybridization involves various procedures. So some of those steps that are involved in artificial hybridization are emasculation, bagging, cross-pollination, tagging, and rebagging. So the steps involved in artificial hybridization are emasculation, bagging, cross-pollination, tagging, and rebagging. So let us look into the details of each of the steps. So first we'll see what is emasculation. So emasculation is a method or a procedure where the stamens are removed with the help of forceps from a bisexual flower or from a bisexual bud. Okay. So whenever we conduct pollination or artificial pollination or cross hybridization process, so from a bisexual flower the male reproductive unit is removed, that is stamens are removed. So emasculation is a process of removal of stamen or removal of anther from a bisexual flower or a bisexual bud before the anthers dehisce. This point you have to remember, before the anthers dehisce, the stamens or anthers has to be removed from a bisexual flower or a bisexual bud. So this process is known as emasculation. Suppose if you are selecting a unisexual flower for hybridization process or for crossing experiments, so this step can be skipped because unisexual flowers have either male or female reproductive unit. So if you are selecting unisexual flower, you can directly select the female flowers so that stamens are not present there and this step is not involved. Suppose if you are selecting bisexual flower, then the emasculation process has to be done. So in emasculation, the anthers or stamens are removed with the help of forceps. You might have seen the forceps last year in practical classes. So forceps are mainly used for various experiments. That is one of the equipment we use. So here forceps are mainly used to remove the anthers or remove the stamens and make the flower unisexual, retaining only the carpels or the female reproductive unit. So once emasculation is done, then the flower, the emasculated flower has to be covered with butter paper bags. Okay. So this method is known as bagging. So what is done in bagging? The emasculated flower is covered with butter paper bag. Why we have to cover the emasculated flower with butter paper bag? So as to prevent the unwanted pollen grains from pollinating the flower. Okay. So bagging is a technique or a procedure that is done for an emasculated flower to prevent the unwanted pollen grain from pollinating the flower. So once the emasculated flower is covered with the butter paper bag, then until the stigma becomes receptive, the flower is kept or placed inside the butter paper bags. Okay. Once the stigma becomes receptive, then the butter paper bags are slowly removed and then the desired pollen grains, remember desired pollen grains are collected and then they are dusted on the receptive stigma, and this process is known as cross pollination. Okay, in cross pollination, the butter paper bags from the emasculated flower is slowly removed. So when we have to remove the butter paper bag, when the stigma becomes receptive, then the desired pollen grains are collected and they are dusted on the stigma of the flower. Immediately after cross pollination, the flower has to be covered with the butter paper bag. So why this step has to be done? So this step has to be done so that we can prevent any unwanted pollen grains from falling or from pollinating the flower. Okay. So already we have dusted desired pollen grains. So to prevent unwanted pollen grains from pollinating the flower, immediately after cross pollination, the flower has to be covered with the butter paper bag, and this step is known as rebagging. Covering the butter paper bags immediately after cross pollination, that is known as rebagging. And all those events that are done in a flower during artificial hybridization, that may be emasculation, bagging, cross pollination or rebagging, that has to be noted clearly, and that step of noting down all the events of artificial hybridization is known as tagging. Okay. So how long we have to keep the flower inside the butter paper bag? So the flower has to be left inside the butter paper bag until the reproduction process completes. So you know that once pollen grains are dusted, pollen will germinate, they will release the male gametes and the gametes will fuse, the male gamete will fuse the female gamete and fertilization process take place. And what type of fertilization process takes place in case of angiosperms? Double fertilization. So after double fertilization, post fertilization events occur, and during post fertilization event, fruit formation takes place as well as seed formation takes place. So until the fruits and seeds are formed, the flower has to be placed within the butter paper bag so that you can get the assured seed set or desired genetic constitution inside the seeds. Okay, this is how artificial hybridization done in case of angiosperms. Okay, so remember the steps. Artificial hybridization it is a purposeful pollination. Okay, purposeful pollination done with the help of desired pollen grains or dusting of desired pollen grains on the stigma. So it involves 5 different steps. They are emasculation, bagging, cross pollination, tagging and rebagging. Okay. So next let us move on to one more topic that occurs after pollination process. So already we have discussed about pre-fertilization events and the structures. So what are those events that occur during pre-fertilization? So during pre-fertilization there is gametogenesis process. That means how male gamete and female gametes are formed. What are those gametogenesis process that we have studied here? We have studied about microsporogenesis as well as megasporogenesis. We have seen how male gametophyte is formed and how female gametophyte is formed. And inside the male gametophyte, how two male gametes are formed, and inside female gametophyte, how an egg cell or egg cell or female gamete is formed inside the embryo cell. So remember that pollen grain is the male gametophyte, embryo sac is the female gametophyte. Pollen grain, the male gametophyte produces two male gametes, embryo sac, the female gametophyte produces only one female gamete, that is egg cell. Okay, so these are the pre-fertilization events. So next, let us discuss about the fertilization process. Now, let us discuss about one of the unique event that occurs in angiospermic plants, that is double fertilization. So, double fertilization is a unique event because in other plants, double fertilization may not take place. Only in angiosperms, since two male gametes are released into the female gametophyte, two kinds of fusion occur, so the event is named as double fertilization. Remember that the fertilization process that takes place in angiosperm is a unique event, and this fertilization is termed as double fertilization. Okay. So now let us discuss in detail why it is called double fertilization and what are those two kinds of fusion that occur inside embryo sac. Embryo sac is the female gametophyte. So before that, you just recall the cells that are present in the embryo sac. Already we have done or we have discussed about the structure of embryo sac, and you might have also practiced the diagram of embryo sac, which is very important. So in an embryo sac, in a mature embryo sac, there are 7 cells and there are 8 nuclei. And which are those cells that are present in embryo sac? The cells that are present in embryo sac are 3 antipodals towards the chalazal end, and towards the micropylar end there are 3 cells together form egg apparatus, and each egg apparatus consists of 3 cells. Among those 3 cells, 2 of the cells are known as synergid cells and 1 cell is called egg cell, that is the female gamete. Okay. So altogether now there are 6 cells, 3 antipodals, 3 cells in the egg apparatus, and at the center there is a single large cell named as central cell, which consists of 2 haploid nuclei, and that 2 haploid nuclei are called polar nuclei. So a mature embryo sac has got 7 cell but 8 nucleus. Okay. Now we will see how double fertilization takes place in angiosperms and what are those kinds of fusion that occur in angiosperms. So double fertilization is a unique event where there is 2 kinds of fusion. So what are those 2 kinds of fusion that occur during double fertilization? So those 2 fusion are named as syngamy and triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion. You know that during pollen pistil interaction you have studied that the pollen tube enters the ovule through the micropyle, and the synergid that is present in the embryo sac will guide the pollen tube so that the pollen tube enters through the synergids and the tip of the pollen tube ruptures such that 2 of the male gamete is released. Now the male gametes, 2 male gametes from the pollen tube are released into the cytoplasm of synergids. Okay. So now those 2 male gametes will fuse with the cells that are present or the nuclei that are present inside the mature embryo sac. Okay. So among the two male gametes, one of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell that is present inside the embryo sac to form a diploid structure called zygote. Okay, one of the male gamete, and what is the ploidy of gametes? Haploid. So haploid male gamete fuses with one haploid female gamete, that is egg cell. So when two haploid cells having haploid nuclei fuses together, a diploid cell is formed. Okay, so this is one kind of fusion that occurs during double fertilization. And what do we name this fertilization? As syngamy. Okay, fusion of one male gamete with one egg cell to form a diploid zygote, and this process is named as syngamy. Okay, now we know that the pollen grain releases two male gametes inside the embryo sac. We'll see what is the fate of another male gamete. Okay, so as I told, there is one more fusion that occurs during double fertilization, and that is named as triple fusion. That is named as triple fusion. So here we will discuss what happens to one more male gamete. So one more male gamete, that is haploid, one more male gamete fuses with the two nuclei that was present inside, or that is present inside the central cell. You know that the central cell has got two haploid nucleus or two haploid nuclei. So one more male gamete fuses with those two polar nuclei, or the polar nuclei may fuse to each other to form secondary nucleus. If two polar nuclei fuses together to form secondary nucleus, how is secondary nucleus formed? Due to fusion of two polar nuclei. So what will be the ploidy of secondary nucleus? Ploidy of secondary nucleus is diploid. Why it is diploid? Because the two polar nuclei have fused together. The two polar nuclei were haploid. So two haploid polar nuclei fuse together to form diploid secondary nucleus. Okay. So now the haploid male gamete fuses with the secondary nucleus. And what is the ploidy of secondary nucleus? It is diploid to form a nucleus which has ploidy triploid. Why it is triploid? Two secondary nucleus which is diploid fuses with the nucleus of haploid gamete. Okay, and forms primary endosperm nucleus which is, or which has the ploidy, that is triploid. So since three nuclei fuse together here, the kind of fusion is named as triple fusion. So why it is named as triple fusion? Since three nuclei fuses together, the fusion is named as triple fusion. So one of the male gamete fuses with the secondary nucleus which is diploid and forms a triploid nuclei, that is known as primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. Primary endosperm nucleus. Okay. So remember, this is the abbreviated form, primary endosperm nucleus. So two kinds of fusion occur here. So one of the fusion is named as syngamy and the other fusion is triple fusion. Since two fusions occur during fertilization in angiosperms, the type of fertilization that occurs in angiosperm is named as double fertilization. Okay. So next, let us see how will be the structure of embryo sac after double fertilization, that is after formation of zygote as well as primary endosperm nucleus. So now this is a structure of a fertilized embryo sac. Fertilized embryo sac means embryo sac that is formed after fertilization. So fertilized embryo sac has this structure. Okay. So initially we had studied the embryo sac has got 3 antipodals towards the chalazal end, and we will see what is the fate of the antipodals now after fertilization. So after fertilization, the antipodals will undergo degeneration. So this is the degenerated antipodals, and the synergids that are formed towards the micropylar end, they also undergo degeneration. So these are degenerated synergids. Degenerated synergids. So antipodal cells, all the 3 antipodal cells become degenerated, and 2 of the synergids also become degenerated. So now the resultant nuclei or the cell that is formed inside the embryo sac is zygote and primary endosperm nucleus. Okay. So how is zygote formed? Zygote is formed due to fusion of one male gamete with one egg cell, and now this is a diploid zygote. How is primary endosperm nucleus formed? Due to fusion of one male gamete with the secondary nucleus or 2 polar nuclei, primary endosperm nucleus is formed. Now, once the primary endosperm nucleus is formed, the central cell that has got primary endosperm nucleus will become the central cell having triploid nucleus. Okay, or we can also call this cell as primary endosperm or primary endospermic cell. Okay, which has got triploid nucleus. Okay, so these are the 2 main events that occurs during double fertilization, and this is very, very important because this is a unique feature that occurs in angiosperm. So remember those 2 types of fertilization that occur, and remember what are the types of cells that fuse together to form zygote as well as to form primary endosperm nucleus, and what happens to the central cell once the primary endosperm nucleus is formed. The central cell becomes primary endospermic cell. Okay, and remember this diagram and note down the differences between a mature embryo sac as well as a fertilized embryo sac, because in one of the question paper they have asked about or to sketch the diagram of a fertilized embryo sac. So don't get confused with mature embryo sac. Usually they will ask question based on or to sketch the diagram of a mature embryo sac, but sometimes they may ask you to sketch the diagram of fertilized embryo sac. So there is difference between a mature embryo sac as well as fertilized embryo sac.